This is something else. Pretty wild. So Trump held an event at the southern border yesterday, and it was another attempt to take some of the attention away from the outstanding Democratic National Convention, and it didn't go particularly well. It's very hot in Arizona where he was at the southern border, as you can imagine, and something that doesn't go well with his bronze/orange makeup is a lot of sweat that could push that makeup off of his face. And we've seen this before, but once again, it seems it left unmakeupified, unmakeuped, whatever, you get the point. Parts of his skin left raw with no makeup because of the sweat removing it from his face. And you know what? Yeah, this is unimportant. And I am going to be a little petty here. And then we'll look at clips from this actual speech that also are wild, but more substantive. First, Aaron Rupar, friend of the show, posted this saying, "Yikes, this is a real unedited photo of Trump from his event in Arizona today." Let me full screen this so you can just really behold. I'll describe for our podcast listeners, around his lips, just white compared to the bronze on his face. Side of his face, more white, pale skin. That's also sort of removed the makeup. And around his neck as well. Just melting off his face. And here's the takeaway that I think is semi-important. And it is important, actually. Because I'm not just about saying, you look bad. But, I mean, he does. But I also think that this is about the way that Republicans viciously attacked Biden over his age. While Biden didn't make as much of an effort to hide his age. Whereas Trump, the supposed alpha male, guy's guy, man's man, leader of this cult, does so much to abstract who he is and his age. And I think aging is beautiful. I think as a society we should get better at celebrating the wisdom, experience, and beauty that comes along with aging. Not obsess so much over trying to constantly look like you're super youthful. But this, I think, serves as a reminder that Trump, let's just say it this way, as does his glitches and his gaffes that MAGA doesn't like talking about, for all their attacks against Biden that are now irrelevant over his age, maybe they should do some introspection about how Trump doesn't necessarily seem super fit. And I'm more talking not in his appearance, but in his cognitive situation, fit to be president. And now he's going up against a much younger. Being out sick the last few days has caused our channel growth to come to a screeching halt. If you want to help jumpstart it back to where it was going before, you can do so by clicking the subscribe button if you haven't already. Easy, free, but makes all the difference. Back to the video. Oh, last thing I'll say, and I'm not gonna make any comment, and then we're gonna get on the clips, I promise. But last thing I'll say is Trump recently claimed he's better looking. This is his words, not mine. I'm not saying anything about it. He said he's, quote, better looking than Kamala. Quote, better looking than Kamala. My finger slipped. I didn't mean to put that photo back up again. I'm not saying anything about it. Okay. I just like to credit Aaron Rupar and Asin and Ron Filipkowski because they help so much with producing the show by posting this sort of stuff. So Aaron Rupar here made a great point with the clip you're about to watch, saying, Democrats are saying, let's have a more joyful politics. Trump at the border highlighting horrible incidents of brutal crimes and pushing collective guilt on migrants.
Before he wrapped his arms around her throat, pinned her down on a park bench, and raped her publicly on a park bench. and she said he wasn't trying to rape me, he was trying to kill me.
So this is something Trump has started to do a lot now, which is recount crimes that are committed by undocumented immigrants. And we're all, just like how there were undocumented immigrants who committed crimes when Trump was president, we're all wanting those individuals to not be given any pathway to citizenship, to not be allowed in the country. Of course, criminals, no. And Trump is the one encouraging Republicans to block ways that we could get better at preventing that sort of unlawful immigration, especially of people who could pose a danger. The thing we're saying is fear-mongering and exploiting those stories as he does, just for the sake of getting you elected, but not actually attached to policy proposals, unlike Kamala Harris, who has those policy proposals, and often pushing false ideas about the broader story of immigration. That's what we're opposed to. Because what happens here is they push this, idea of a migrant crime. I keep saying that wrong. Migrant. Sorry, I'm not enunciating properly. Crime wave. To further a narrative about a broader crime wave, to convince people they're unsafe and someone's going to attack them at any moment, while not contextualizing it within the exciting story that crime's plummeting. And we're safer right now than we were any time under Trump when it comes to crime. Anytime, in almost more than 50 years. And then similarly, while of course we should implement policies that allow for only lawful immigration, undocumented immigrants do commit very little crime statistically. You have native-born citizens, and then immigrants to the United States, and then undocumented immigrants in sort of the ranking of crime rates. So that doesn't take away from the pain when a crime is committed. But it's just important that we contextualize this. Again, similar to the broader crime statistics. And it doesn't take away from us wanting a secure border and enforcing immigration laws and promoting lawful immigration exclusively, all that. But there's just a lot of abstracting of the facts going on, for sure. Then you have this.
The choice is simple. Kamala's mass amnesty of criminals or President Trump's mass deportation of criminals. I think that's pretty easy. In addition to all of the other things, there are many other things that are equally as bad but not as obvious. With your vote, we will seal the border, stop the invasion, and launch the largest deportation effort in American history. We will impose tough new sentences on illegal alien criminals. These include a 10-year mandatory minimum sentence for anyone guilty of human smuggling, a guaranteed life sentence for anyone guilty of child trafficking, and a death penalty for anyone guilty of child or woman sex trafficking. We'll also impose the death penalty on major drug dealers and traffickers. In other countries, on their immigration papers, there is a statement that says, death for drug traffickers. Big letters, big bold letters. 10 times the size of everything else on the page. I saw it this morning. And those are the countries where they have no problem with drugs.
Something he says a lot. Yeah, again, let me play a little bit more and then I'll respond.
We need our great police to be loved and respected, and they will be again. Right now, if somebody does something that's a little bit on the tough side to stop something that's very bad, they end up losing their pension, their life, their car, their house. They lose their job. They lose everything. We're going to give immunity to many, many people so that they can do the law. But again, I want to thank you. I want to thank the media for being here. I hope you can report the story the way it is. It's a very sad moment for our country. We have some very bad people trying to get into office, and if we don't stop them, our country has no chance of greatness. Thank you very much.
So just the same things over and over and over again. I know for you it's repetitive if you watch the show a lot, but one of the things that he said in that I do want to continue to address is the proposal of giving immunity to many, many people so that they can do the law. Quite the statement, but this is connected to his proposal to give immunity, complete criminal immunity, to police officers in their position as a police officer. It doesn't make any sense. It flies in the face of the principle of no one's above the law. Police officers are supposed to enforce the law, okay? Because we believe in law and order, yes. Why would we then say while they're enforcing the law, they're above the law? That doesn't make any sense. He also, in this, did get asked about him being against solutions to the southern border. So we have to reject the disgusting fear-mongering, the dehumanization, etc. But also say, since you're standing at the border, if we are talking about solutions to border issues, because there are issues, you're not the guy who wants that. Because you have promoted the action by Republicans of blocking solutions to hurt Biden politically. And when he got asked about that, he said this.
If they wanted to close the border, I didn't have a bill. I said, close the border. I said, Brandon, close that border, Brandon. And what happened? He closed the border. They all did. Paul, the whole group of them. This group is incredible. They closed the border. I looked at him. I said, we don't have a bill. We don't need a bill. Close the damn border. They closed the border. They could do the same thing. If they wanted.
So we've addressed that one many, many times. He needs to take that up with his past self because he's contradicting his past self. If he really believes you don't need Congress's support to address immigration-related issues or southern border specifically related issues, then he needs to have an argument with 2019 Trump, because Trump was addressing the country in that Oval Office address we covered. They're saying, I need Congress to act on this. And no, it's not as simple as close. It's not a door. You don't just, it's closed now. Trump was saying it's a crisis. 3 years into his presidency, he was still saying that. So it clearly wasn't that simple. And the only year they can point to, because 2019 had higher border encounters than any year under Obama. So the trajectory of things increasing at least was happening up until 2019. And then they said, oh, but 2020, we saw a big decrease. Because there was a global pandemic, you goof. So he's just lying there. It doesn't make any sense that it would be saying close the border, because that's not how it works. And it should concern MAGA folks that Trump says that's the solution, because that means he's going to get into office and be very clueless as to how to comprehensively address this subject. The reason it's been a quote-unquote unsolved problem for so long is because it's complicated and there's disagreements about how we go about improving the situation. And this is what's so bothersome about engaging with MAGA on some of these issues. It actually is worthy of a real good faith, complicated conversation where we're humane, but we still enforce laws and we enforce security standards and all these things. The way that we find the best solutions, it's complicated. And so coming into the discussion in this bad faith way where you pretend like we are engaging in some conspiracy to let in a bunch of people to vote for Democrats or great replacement theory nonsense, it just prevents progress, because then, oh, now we got to debunk that, and we're busy doing that instead of thinking about complex solutions. Let me know what you thought of all that in the comments. If you want to support this show and get the daily, except for when I'm sick like the last few days, members only bonus show, you can do so by clicking the join button below.